Hello everyone. So welcome to another vlog. So what should we talk about today? Let's speak about the GMAC, the GMAC. These are the guys who own the GMAT, and they're good guys. I mean, I'm friendly with most of them. Though today I'm not gonna be so nice because I'm talking about the OG. Yeah, the official guide 2017, the latest one. So the OG came out earlier this year, I think in June, June, July when it was launched, and it was full of errors. A lot of us noticed that. A lot of you may have noticed that. So the book had I think 100 errors, maybe more, and most of these were in the math section. Well, to GMAC's credit, they owned up to it. I mean, they had no other option; they had to, and they came up with an errata document which had all the errors listed out. Finally, I think just earlier last month or late last month, they have released a new version of the OG. So the older version looked like this. Yeah, this was the cover of the older version of 2017 OG. The new one that's just been released, the fixed version, this is how it looks. And in case you have the older one, you can get a free replacement copy, of course. You see, the interesting thing is, this is something that would have never occurred say 3 or 4 years back. I mean, if I talk about OG 12 or OG 13, I could have actually, argued with somebody who said that there's a problem with the OG because there were absolutely zero problems. There was no problem with anything, it was like the perfect book. Now that I think has kind of, gone down over the years. I think even in the last edition, I noticed a few things, a few typos here and there, but nothing major. The interesting thing is in the current OG, even after it has been fixed, what I'm going to discuss is 2 or 3 things which have not been fixed. All in the English section, of course. I think in the math section, they fixed pretty much everything that needed to be fixed. But there are a few things in the English section, sentence correction particularly, which I think the GMAC has overlooked or didn't realize that they had missed this. So I'll look at 3 questions actually with you guys. I'll show them to you. I've taken direct photographs from the OG itself. So here's the first one. So I don't want to know the answer to the question. I'm sure you can get to the answer. My question for you is, so read this, just go through this question and see if you can spot any problems in the part that is not underlined. So you're not being checked on that. You're not being, tested on that. The problem is in the part that is not underlined. And I've started with the smallest of 3 problems that I have in 3 questions. So you can pause the video now, take a look, see if you spot some problem and come back. Right, so did you notice the problem with the non-underlined part? The problem is, you see it says, especially in the early years, new entrepreneurs may need to find resourceful ways like renting temporary office space or using answering machines, whatever. The problem is like. Well, if you've gone through the SC grade, if you've gone through any basic sentence correction tutorial, the first thing you will learn is you cannot use like to give examples. You never use like to give examples, you always use such as. So in this case it should be such as renting whatever and using whatever. So this was definitely a miss, and if like were underlined, I don't think they would have missed that. It's just that it's in the non-underlined part. One tends to, overlook these things. But this would never have happened in the earlier OGs. So that's a problem for sure. That's been overlooked. Okay, so let's take a look at another question now. Again from the OG 2017 sentence correction chapter. Question number 739. Here it is on your screen. So in this case, the problem is in the part that's underlined, though it's not being tested. In the sense that none of the option corrects that problem. But the problem is definitely there, and in fact I had noticed it, and that's exactly why I did not select A as the correct answer. I mean, A is the answer to the question. The sentence is correct as written. But can you spot some problem? Specifically a problem with punctuation. So yeah, look at consequently. The sentence, the second clause after your semicolon starts with consequently. There needs to be a comma after consequently. You cannot not have a comma. Consequently is a conjunctive adverb. They're always followed by commas. So I mean, I think it's a big miss, because a word such as consequently, put a however over there, put a nonetheless over there, they would all need to be followed by a comma. I mean, I've mentioned this in the SC Grail. It's generally an accepted, an important grammar rule, if you will. These conjunctive adverbs must always be followed by a comma. So that's definitely a miss. In fact, it was a big miss in my opinion, because I skipped option A just because of the comma. Even though I know that punctuation is not really tested on the GMAT. So that's the second problem. Now the third and the final one, which I think is a big problem. So question number 747 reminds me of those Boeing airplanes, 747. Anyway, the question is here on your screen now. The correct answer, I'll tell you, is the fourth one. Yeah, it's D for Denmark. So don't bother with option E. But there's a big problem with the correct answer. And the big problem is it says the ants consider all their fellows to be close relatives. That's a big problem. Go back to your idiom list. There is no such thing as consider to be. It's only consider. Consider does not take it to be. Consider does not take as. It's only consider. I consider you to be a good student. Absolutely wrong. I consider you a good student. And that's a big miss, I think, because it sounds very good. That's the problem, It just goes to prove the point that idioms, a lot of them, when used incorrectly, sound very good. Like consider to be is how we normally speak. But it's absolutely incorrect. Somebody who teaches or somebody who's been preparing for a while would immediately spot that and eliminate that answer. Whereas that is the correct answer. So that's the third crucial miss. The moral of the story, the GMAC needs to be a little more, strict about standards. I understand publishing a new OG every year is tough. We publish books ourselves, so I can absolutely understand how easy it is for one or two mistakes to go through. In our own books, we've been guilty of that. But it's just something you don't expect from, the GMAT. You haven't been used to it, honestly. I would expect that in a GRE book, not really on the GMAT. So these are three problems that I spotted. I don't think there are any more in the book. But yeah, I hope the GMAC watches this video. I'll send them a link maybe. And I hope they subscribe to my vlogs then. But yeah, they need to be a little careful. So now that I've criticized the GMAC, I'll also be nice to them because they have been doing they have been taking some very student-friendly initiatives. I remember 5-6 years back, I used to have major issues with the way the GMAT was. The test was basically, it was a black box. You had no way of finding out how many questions you got right, how you performed in the individual sections. By sections, question types. So how did I do on sentence correction, on reasoning? Because if I'm retaking and if I want to improve, I need to know, I need some feedback. And there was no feedback. Then the ESR came out, the enhanced score report, which was a good thing. However, I still had a problem with that because the earlier versions of the ESR never gave you a breakup of how many questions did you get correct, how many did you get incorrect. That, by the way, has been fixed now. Of late, all the ESRs I've been seeing, though I never got an official communication from the GMAC saying that, which is funny. They should have ideally they are very quick to inform of any new development. It's a very important development, I think. But the development is on the new ESRs, you get an exact breakup of how many questions you got correct or incorrect and where. So I'll show you, take a look. So you can easily see in the first 10 questions, this person has got 25% of the questions incorrect. In the second lot, 0 mistakes. In the third lot of 10-11 questions. So you see, it gives you a complete breakup of how many questions you've got wrong and where you've got that wrong. That's very, very useful if you ask me. And that's a great thing on the part of the GMAT. They're becoming more transparent. I think it was really needed. So kudos to them for this. Along with other initiatives. The fact that you can retake the GMAT in 16 days, another very student-friendly initiative. So I think overall, the GMAC has definitely become a lot more student-friendly. The content team needs to, pull up its socks a little and match the marketing team, if you will. So I think that should be all for today's vlog. I have to now go and work on some books. So I'll see you guys tomorrow in another vlog. and we'll discuss some more interesting things. Maybe we'll talk about something B school related, because a lot of deadlines are coming up in September, round 1 deadlines. Let's talk a little about B schools. Let's see what's happening over there. So have a nice day. I'll see you guys tomorrow.